Okay, hello, welcome back to another game today playing E4, and we are at 2182, getting towards that 2200 goal, which I'm hoping to hit live on the channel very, very soon. So, E4 we see E5, knight F3, perfect, very much comfortable. This is my domain, E4, E5, and knight F3. We see a Philidor, so D4 here. Now we'll probably see takes, we could see bishop G4, but takes is, I think, slightly better. Now, bishop e3, stabilizing this knight, developing the bishop. Probably, okay, my opponent takes. That seems like a bad decision. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on this square now. And you're just going to move the knight and ignore it. Fair play. I mean, you're just going to block that. I'll go knight c3. And I think we're going to see bishop e7 and then kingside castles. Okay. Because obviously my opponent is developing their pieces in this way, knight f6, bishop e7, they are telegraphing, they are telling me that they want to castle kingside here. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to play a mixture of queen d2, queenside castles, and then try and just throw my h-pawn at my opponent, maybe f3, g4 as well with g5, you know, attack with the pawns and have an opposite side castling, you know, very dynamic position. We've already got nice pressure on this diagonal. If c5 happens, we can drop back, and you know that d5 square becomes quite soft for the knight maybe. So I think I will go queen d2 here. Just prioritize castling queenside, and if my opponent castles here, I think. Ooh, what is that? Okay, so they pushed both d6 and b6. And there's no knight here. So these light squares, which would usually be defended by a knight, are not defended at all. So I can go check. And you obviously can't do this because then you lose a rook. And so if I go check and you just go, what, bishop d7? I mean, I'm not really... it could be a good idea. It also might actually not be that good because just bishop d7. And I mean, I could then castle, and if takes, we see takes here. But I don't think I'm really going to be able to put much pressure on c7. And the knight could just be kicked, and that might just act as further tempo to expand towards my king, which will be down here. So I think we're just going to castle queenside. And if this move, bishop b7, which is obviously what's going to happen because my opponent's just played b6, I'm now going to play f3, which is the best move so far of this game, in my opinion. Move 10, f3, very multifaceted move, does a lot of different things. So obviously builds up this pawn chain and makes this bishop here a worse piece, or at least slightly worsely positioned. I mean, we control a lot of this diagonal. It's still a good bishop, you know, it's fianchettoed. However, we build up that pawn chain here. Also f3 allows us to play g4, which allows us to go for the opponent's king if it's castled kingside. Now my opponent plays queen d7, which to me suggests they're trying to castle queenside, which would be an interesting choice with all of this light square weakness shenanigans going on here. I can play bishop b5, which honestly I might do, because if you play c6, I could just literally step back and then bring it back to b3, and if you play c6, there's no way you're castling queenside, right? Or do I want to play g4, scare my opponent away from castling kingside, so they then, you know, knee-jerk reaction, castle queenside, then play that? You know what, I like this. G4, castle queenside. You know, we're gonna make an alpha male play there. There we go, stressing my opponent out into castling queenside there. And now we're gonna go bishop to b5. Tempo on the queen, supported by the knight. The queen can come out to this square, but yeah, I was going to say, they're going to just choose to block with the bishop. This means that, I mean, I can trade this off, which just, thematically speaking, looks like a really good idea. You know what? Not even really going to hesitate with this. Actually, I am going to, because maybe queen e2 is an idea. No, get rid of the bishop. Point being that both of us have traded a light squared bishop, but that light squared bishop was super useful for black, with all these light squared holes in their defense next to their king. I mean, g4, we've scared them over here to where there are light squared weaknesses, and then forced the trade of the light squared bishops. Seems to be you know, a generally good idea. Now I can play g5 as well, which looks very enticing, because then I can put my knight on. Oh, right. You know what? G5. Attack this knight. I mean, this expansion here on the king side, still very useful. This knight doesn't really want to go to h5 and get sidelined. Almost certainly we see knight d7 here, unless it does just go there. Okay, now it literally just can't move, and it's on the complete wrong side of the board to where the kings are. So I'm thinking that I mean, look, knight d5 straight away, threatening not only a bishop for free but winning the queen with a fork here. This beautiful d5 square, and I mean, look, already we're making the most of these light squared weaknesses. And I mean, say this pawn or this pawn's ever pushed, we could be looking at ideas of sacrificing something on b6 to open everything up. Also, okay. I'm really tempted to go for this idea of queen c3. Queen c3. First of all, we put a battery onto this square here. Now we give up this pawn with check, and so my opponent can take that pawn. Of course, with check, we're just going to step across with the king. Fine. What this threatens, though, is we get out of the way of the rook, so maybe rook d3 is now a move to bring this up and over. But also, oh my days. Bishop takes b6. This pawn is pinned. If you recapture here, I go knight takes and fork the king and queen. So you cannot take this bishop, and we're just tearing open the king straight away. I'm also threatening to take on this square. Oh, the game might be over. The game might really be over. I mean, my opponent can take here. I just go king b1. And then what? Here we go, king b1. Now what are you going to do? I mean, great, this bishop's looking at what? Literally nothing. I mean, it would be quite a well-positioned piece if the game wasn't, you know, almost dead lost on c7 already. The king's just going to move. That is a sad move to have to play. Okay, what if I go here? If I go here, they're going to try and pin this to my queen. Then... oh, you've just got to trust the process. Okay, take this, because here we can escape this pin with a check. Also, in taking this pawn, it immortalizes this knight here on the d5 square. This is now outposted. It will never be kicked by the move c6 because we've gotten rid of that pawn. Okay, we do see that. I'm really thinking this is just a good idea though. Check. Do I want to go check here or check? Yeah, check here, and we just... oh my god. The d-file's even going to open up. And what is this knight doing over here? That's what you got to really try and think about in these positions. What the hell was knight h5? Okay, I'm kind of thinking just bishop takes d6 is really strong. I don't know, actually. It's also kind of an amusing idea to... wait, knight check? If I go knight check, you take... oh no, okay, no, that is absolutely rubbish. We want to keep this knight, sorry. But there's potential ideas here. I mean, look at these pieces, look how they're configured. If we step across here, we are threatening this knight check, which could just be like GG straight away. There's takes here, but I really do like queen a5. Threatening the knight check. If you take this, I just... oh yeah, okay, you know what? Queen a5. I don't know if that's the most precise move, but knight b6 is absolutely a problem here. I mean, if my opponent has the balls to play king b7 and step out of this pin, then fair play to them, do you know what I mean? But this move not only sets up knight b6, but also holds the bishop so that they can't sacrifice the rook for the two minor pieces. Also, bishop d6 would have been interesting, but wait, check. Only legal move. Yeah, okay. Check. Here we go. Only legal move is the king going to here, and we could see resignation here. There we go. What a game. Let's look at the analysis. Okay, so here we are in the analysis. Let's go through the game. So e4, e5, knight f3, e6. Stockfish immediately hating on the Philidor. Francois André Daniquin Philidor is rolling in his grave right now. Best believe I learned that name just to say that sentence. Anyway, d4 here. Pawn takes, knight takes, all theory. And then knight c6. I'm going to turn on the engine here, actually. Yeah, knight c6. I don't know. I'm sure it's theory, but you normally, I think, see knight f6 or bishop e7. However, I developed the bishop, took here, and after knight to f6, played knight c3. I mean, this is all very, very standard stuff. I mean, it looks like a pretty normal position. I have a bit more activity, but the bishop comes out here, queen d2, and then, yeah, b6. The computer does not like this move. Neither did I, just because the light squares are just weaker. And that proved to be an absolutely huge problem. I mean, I then played castles queenside. Let's see what my best move would have been. I should have gone for this check. And I'm assuming if they block with bishop, yeah, I just trade this off and then castle queenside. Okay, I considered that line. Personally, I thought then if they castled kingside, it was going to be, you know, maybe c5 and, you know, expansive ideas over here. And it would be a bit of a sort of race to see who could get there first, which would have been interesting. But I thought, you know what, let's leave those pawns weak. Castle, f3 here. One sec, let's just turn off the engine. f3 here, securing that pawn. And yeah, my opponent should have castled. However, f3, super scary. You don't really want to castle here because g4, h4 is going to come super quick. g5 is going to happen with tempo, h5, and all of a sudden the pawns have arrived and we're breaking up in the h file, coming in on h6, you know, bishop d3 here. We're gonna mate you, basically. Very, very hard to play as black. Already plus 1.6, but the queen goes up, then g4, and this move was to scare my opponent into castling queenside, which they absolutely did. Now, I could have gone for h4 here and carried on my expansion, but I decided to play this bishop move. Perfectly happy for my opponent to play c6. I would just step back. I don't exactly know where I would step back to. Oh, maybe I've gone back this way to maintain the pin. Let's have a look at what the engine thinks of that, actually. You see, look, the evaluation already starts creeping up after you play c6. The computer, you know, knows long term, the further we get into this line, these pawns are going to be super weak in terms of this king. It actually really likes bishop f1, which is quite interesting. I might have tried to set up a battery towards a6, but I'm perfectly happy to have seen that c6 was the best move there because I was happy to induce that for sort of weakening ideas. But my opponent goes to the bishop here, and I should have played a4. I chose to just get rid of the bishop and then kick the knight. And yeah, the knight went over here, bring my knight in, +2, and then okay, here is where I decided to go queen c3. Now, I think, yeah, the computer did not want me to give up this pawn with check. I was aware I was doing this, but I thought, this is the only blunder of the game. I'm still slightly better. I should have played f4 first, though, but obviously they missed it. Now, the thing is, even if they played bishop takes and king b1, they could still have missed it and gone like this. And if we turn on the engine now, the same idea works. However, they did not go for this straight away. They instead missed it. And then, yeah, bishop takes b6. Absolutely beautiful move here. And after, let's just show the line quickly in case some of you didn't pick up on what I was saying. If the pawn takes, then yeah, knight takes, king goes here, and we can just pick up the queen. The king is completely weak. Yeah, look, we can start even going in for checks, bring a rook up and over, and it's going to be game there. My opponent is dead on the board. So here, they then took the pawn, but it is now too late because after king b1, there is just nothing really to do. I played the best move, bishop takes, c7. My opponent should have tried to trade the queens, but played a perfectly reasonable move, trying to pin this, and yeah, just gave a check. King went back, and then, okay, once queen c4, just protecting this, I guess. Interesting. I think any day I'd still play queen a5, because this idea is so hard to prevent. If queen here, I can still go for knight b6. That's crazy. And then if here, I just take the rook. Wow. Anyway, my opponent, of course, did not play that. They came back with the bishop, and then check here. This pawn's pinned. We attack, you know, the king, the rook, and the queen. And after the only legal move, taking the queen is what I would have played. Wait, actually, let's turn off the engine. Mate in 7. Turn off the engine. Here, I'm assuming this is the most resilient move. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I've just seen that. Let's just have a look at the mate. Check. I think I'd have given that check. The king can only come out here. Wow. Wow. And then it's just bring the rook up and over. Here, bishop goes back. Rook in here, ready to threaten this, but then there's just no way. Wait, what if you go here? And check here and checkmate. Okay, you see how weak the king is. My opponent obviously didn't need to play out that game. They saw they were losing their queen and resigned. But a beautiful game. A great game for my first game back. And yeah, pushing that 2200 goal. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate a like, subscribe, any kind of interaction you can give the channel. I'm gonna be trying to upload super regularly. For those of you that were fans of the channel from before, I took like a month break. I've just gone to uni or university, and so yeah, I was getting my setup sorted. And yeah, apologies for the lighting if that's not great. I'm using a desk lamp. It is not ideal, but I'm playing a lot of chess, enjoying it, and we'll be making a lot of videos. So if you're a fan of this one, stick around for that, subscribe, comment, like, all of that. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.